Visibility and inclusivity mean so much to organizers and participants of the annual JOMO Pride Fest. The first two-day event just wrapped up, and today co-founder JOMO Pride, Ron Birch, joins us to talk about Pride Fest and the changing landscape for the LGBTQIA plus community. Thanks for joining us, Ron.
Thanks for having us.
So let's just start with how the success of Pride Fest this year. Talk about that.
So this year actually went really well. This was the biggest year we've ever had. It was the first fully expanded two-day festival. 2020 would have been the first fully expanded festival, of course. Really, we did pretty good. Our numbers were about 15 to 1,700 attended for both days during both events, and also some of our nighttime events too. So all in all, it was a pretty fantastic event. So.
And talk about the importance of this event and the visibility that it brings.
So visibility is a huge key component of the LGBTQ community. So, and that's one of the things we strive for. Visibility, being seen. How can someone who doesn't, have those kind of relationships? How can they be comfortable getting to know you? How can they be comfortable with something other than what they know, unless they're actually exposed to, people of other cultures and diverse backgrounds and stuff like that. So, visibility is absolutely key.
Yeah, and in this part of the country, it is kind of cut off from lots of different cultural events and activities and influences. And I moved from Southern California, and it was a kind of a culture shock. Yeah. And so, about how many vendors came to the?
So we had 50 scheduled for the first day. COVID kept some of them back. The heat kept some of them back. I think we ended up with 44 the first day. The second day we had 55. We had, I think, 65 scheduled. We had 10 not able to make it. So all in all, still it's the most vendors we've ever had for Pride. So,
wow.
Excellent.
And do you know how far people travel to come to the event?
Yeah, so a lot of our performers and stuff, we have them brought in from other areas. So Springfield, New York City, Georgia, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and places in Arkansas too. So our performers came from everywhere. We also had attendees that came from Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, and pretty much everywhere in between, really.
Because this was the first Pride Festival in this area because of COVID for a while.
Right, yeah. We took we didn't do anything in 2020 besides our virtual event. And really we took that time to, work with the chamber and expand, or the chamber and the Visitors Bureau to expand the event and, offer more things and really to kick 2021 into high gear, so.
Yeah. And when was the first Pride Fest here in Joplin?
So the first Pride Fest, it's actually been happening since the mid-90s. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Usually it was in the basement of a church or an obscure park on the outskirts of town. So there wasn't much visibility with it. Now in 2017, at the end of 2017, the Pride Board at the time disbanded and basically said that they weren't going to do a festival in 2018. So community members came together. We compiled resources, rebranded the festival, brought it to downtown. We immediately seen the festival boom. From 2018, 2019, the numbers doubled. 2020, like I said, was supposed to be the first two-day event, but really it's been growing quite substantially. We've had it since 2018, and in 2019 we started the nonprofit, and so JOMO Pride Inc. has taken care of that since then.
Well, and like you said, in obscure places and basements of church, so, people of all, types, they're starting to figure out that there is a place for them. There are,
absolutely,
and the understanding is more.
Absolutely. Like I said, visibility is key. So being out and being seen, and for your community to actually be aware that you're there. So your community really needs to be aware of its own diversity if they're going to be accepting.
Yeah. So. And this event contributes a lot to the local economy. You have fill-up hotels and restaurants and that. Talk about that.
So right now, which is what we're delving into a little more with the Visitors Bureau, we've gotten approved for a couple grants for this year, and so part of those grant specs are to find out the socioeconomic impact of it. So how many hotel nights were generated, which is actually what I'm dealing with right now. I have about 30 days to submit my report. So at the end of the 30 days, I'll have a pretty good idea of how many hotel nights were generated overall. I know at our host hotel, Town Place Inn and Suites, they generated 30 overnight stays. So, just from that one hotel, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And what will those grants, finding out that information, what will that help?
So it basically helps the Visitors Bureau keep tabs on different events in the area, the socioeconomic impact, how much money they bring in, how much money it brings into the business, how long these visitors stay in town, do they stay overnight, do they make purchases, do they go out to eat? So all those things kind of tie in, and we compile all this information for them, and they kind of sort through it and kind of figure that stuff out for us.
Okay. So. And so I understand Mr. and Miss Gay America came to the Pride Fest. How is one selected for that?
So the Miss Gay America pageant is one of the longest running female impersonation pageants in the world, really. And they start off with like preliminary rounds, so that you'll have city preliminary rounds. Those qualify you for a state preliminary round, and then the state qualifies you for nationals. Also, they have regional preliminaries. So instead of going to a state preliminary, you can go right to a regional and automatically qualify for the Miss Gay America or Mr. Gay America pageant. So
that's
and it's both kind of, they're kind of the same thing, and they're both modeled off of the Miss America pageant. So.
Right. So their community service matters and things of that nature.
Yep. They do a lot of community service, both Mr. and Miss Gay America.
And Jomo Pride raises money for other agencies or groups, right?
Well, we're a 501c3 charity ourselves, so what we usually do throughout the year is raise money to be able to put on our festival.
Sure.
It's completely free, so it takes quite a bit of resources to do. But also, we do support other nonprofits in the area like Miami Pride, Nevada Pride. They just now started their festival, so we've kind of been helping them out. Jomo EQ is a local nonprofit who focuses on like educational outreach for LGBTQ kids and youth. That's really a peer support group, so we do support them as well. And also any fundraisers that come about, if somebody's needing corrective surgery or any help or assistance, we definitely help out when we can. So.
Well, that's really great. And this annual event, your organization, talk about, beyond that, how has your organization grown over the years?
Quite a bit. So, like in 2018, it wasn't really an organization. It was just community members compiling what resources we had to put on the community for, or to put on the festival for the community. 2019, we started the nonprofit 501c3, and it was really not until then when we started really taking in resources and taking in money and seeing, sponsors, come around and vendors come around. So it wasn't really until we hit the 501c3 status and brought the event downtown when we actually seen everything grow. But every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. So our organization, our volunteer base, also the festival. So.
And acceptance of the LGBTQ community is huge. And I was reading a study recently that 70% of Americans now believe in or support same-sex marriage. Do you think that the culture change nationwide is also being seen here?
I think it is, and that I think ties also back into visibility. So you're seeing more, same-sex people on TV. You're seeing more characters, that are playing those roles. You have this really big push for diversity and inclusivity right now, and that's not just in our town. That's everywhere.
Sure.
So I think that with more visibility, I think we're seeing more people become more accepting. We know with more visibility you do get more hate, but you find that your community is overall more accepting once they're aware, that you're there, pretty much. So.
Did Pride Fest experience any of that, protests or kind of?
We have in the past. This was probably the most mellow festival we've ever had. We had no complaints, no protesters, no, nothing really major online really either. So, we got through it pretty
unscathed.
Yeah, unscathed. Yeah, absolutely.
And do you think Pride Fest is part of the reason that the culture is changing here locally?
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, bringing the festival to downtown, giving it more visibility that, the chamber's gotten on board, the city's gotten on board, the Visitors Bureau has gotten on board. So I think for me it ties all into the visibility, visibility and acceptance. So I think the area is becoming more accepting, honestly.
And you were saying that you were emotional about Pride Fest. What was it that brought out the emotions?
So it was everything. seeing, the kids able to, be themselves. There were kids there that had friends and family drop them off, well away from the event just so they can attend, without their parents knowing and stuff like that. So seeing everyone come together, seeing all these kids just able to be free, people, walking down the street, holding hands, just the acceptance. And that's really why we do this, is to provide that safe place where, people can feel comfortable in their own skin and show that. So.
And that just made you feel
really
good.
Yeah, it did.
Well, I really appreciate you being here and talking about Jomo Pride Fest.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Ron. And we'll be right back with a special guest appearance from Miss Jomo Pride, Tanaya Carrington. But first, we spoke to a few participants and business owners attending Jomo Pride Fest about what this event means to them. Stay with us.
I grew up in Seneca. It was horrible. I moved away as soon as I graduated high school. I moved to Boston, then lived in New York, and New Orleans, and back to New York. Moved back here 6 years ago when my dad passed away in like a thing. And then met somebody, blah, blah, blah. And I was gonna move back to New York when my mom passed away. But then I was like, you know what? Like, all the kids here that I grew up with can't move anywhere. So I decided to open a store to like be the place that I wish I had when I was growing up here. So we've been working on this for the past 6 months. And the 2 girls who are working with me are girls from my hometown who I met when I first moved back working at Dairy Queen for a little bit. And we were all the weird kids separated by like, graduated from high school like 30 years ago. But the same things are still going on in Seneca as happened when I went to school. So I realized like people can't keep running away. Like somebody eventually has to stay here and fight. It was Auntie Sal's Emporium. So we will have a hair salon, a boutique with like a 5 and dime on acid. Like anything weird that you can think of that you could possibly want anywhere we'll have. And also a little spiritual shop with like tarot and art and just a place when people need to come in, like a chill. We have some big bean bags and a gigantic lava lamp and universe that you can just like come in and chill out for a few minutes. Because like all the salons that I worked at when I lived in New York and Boston, they always were places that you can pop in during the day if you're having a rough day and know that you had a safe place to go and somebody is going to do something. I've been to many prides, like I've been to, and I want to like to have, like I'm happy finally for things here to not maybe be the way they were, and there will be a store all the time with stuff in it that people can get, not just have to go to like a special one day thing, like any time of the year.
The community has definitely grown over the last few years. We've really come together to make this happen. Each year it gets bigger and bigger. So this year is my first, but I'm super excited to be here. Pride just means a whole nother loving community, like they all come together and love no matter who you are, what color, we're all happy to be here.
We are a 501c3, which we give back to the Humane Society, the Lafayette House. We have raised over 10 grand this year for them and giving it back to our community. We also do animal rescues. We go in people's homes and rescue the animals and stuff like that. So everything is charity based, and we take donations and everything as well. I've been coming to Pride since 2016 when it was at Landris Park originally before we moved down here. I'm excited to see the young people just open up and be out here just being honest to who they are instead of hiding who they have to be every day. So it means a lot, and so with it growing every year, that means new people and new young people are coming out and being who they are, honestly. Pride to me is basically family. We're not just a community, but we're a family. You know, we're not just LGBTQ plus people. We're straights, we're all, different backgrounds of different people. So Pride is really just a family and just being open and honest to who you are, honestly.
I have the business Dying Light Creations here in Joplin, and I sell all this handmade tie-dye. This is what I do full-time to support my family of 6. Today's event, I just want people to come out and have fun, and express their right to be who they are and be accepted. Pride means to me that people like my sister and her fiance and everybody in the LGBTQ community to just be free to be who they are and love whoever they want to love.
I feel like there's such a stigma in the world today to fit into a structure, and I feel like Pride allows people to open up and really be themselves, be proud of it, be able to identify how they want to be identified, not be afraid that they're going to be misgendered or their identity is going to be misconstrued. I think that I wish that there was more of an opportunity other than just Pride to be able to do that. But hey, you know what? Progress. We got to start somewhere. Growing up as a very sheltered child and not really being able to come out, Pride. This last year was my first Pride ever. I got to do Tulsa Pride, and it was something that you go out and you wonder, are people going to accept me? Are people going to be able to take all I am? And so Pride for me, just in general, having been able to go for a year, it's opened my perspective of really being able to walk out into the real world and be like, you know what? I have all these people that have been at this event behind me, and if something goes down, they're going to be there. And I think that's the other thing is realizing who your allies are and realizing, how many allies there are out there. I think that sometimes we feel like we're alone, and being able to look around you and be like, I got that person and that person and that person, and if somebody's going to come up against me or misgender me or tell me that I don't fit into society, there's going to be all these people standing right behind me ready to disagree with them and tell them how they can better themselves and educate themselves so that we can gender people correctly, that we can let people identify how they want to identify. Because at the end of the day, it's how you live your life. Other people, of course, are going to get in the way. But I think so many people forget about that. They forget that if you're yourself, the other people are going to come. JoJo Siwa put it really great whenever she came out. She had a mother that commented on her status and was like, well, I'm not going to allow my daughter to watch you anymore. And she said, that's okay. Where there's 1,000 people that aren't going to be there, there's 1,000 more that are going to step up and be right behind me and be supporters. So I'm always going to have fans and supporters there to protect me. And of course, now she's also the first woman on Dancing with the Stars to have a same-sex partner, which I think is incredible.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Miss Jomo Pride, Tanaya Carrington. Thanks so much for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you for having us.
So first of all, you got to tell me, how long does it take you to get ready?
It depends on how late I am. Usually it'll run me 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, that's really not that bad. It takes me that long to...
Yeah, I mean, as long as I've been doing it. But when I first started off, it took me a couple of hours.
Yeah, it takes me at least 45 minutes to put my eyelashes on.
That's the easy part.
Yeah. So you've been doing drag, you said, for over 30 years or so. What's your driving force?
Entertainment. I like entertainment. I'm a big fan of Gladys and Aretha. I was brought up in the church, and so just entertainment, making people happy is my main goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk about performing at Pride events. How have things changed over the years?
Well, actually, this is my first year as being a Pride Queen, and so most of the entertainers I did know, but just seeing the happiness and the joy on people's faces when they saw the queens come out and dance or do one of their numbers and stuff, and a lot of them got into it. So, it's more of the joy that we bring, to the community.
Mm-hmm. And drag shows are pretty popular in Kansas City, and there's some in Fayetteville. I think there's some in Joplin, too. Do you participate in shows in Springfield?
Yes. I'm one of the entertainers. I work at Martha's Vineyard. And I also work at the Mixed Ultra Lounge, and then I also travel a lot. So,
wow,
I'm always on the road.
Yeah. What do you do in your day job?
Sit at home.
Well, that is awesome, considering you travel so much.
Yeah, I said I'm a homebody. I recently just got married, and so I just love being at home with my two dogs and just taking care of my home.
That's great. Well, do you think that the visibility with these pride shows are helping people become more accepting?
Truly, I do, because back in the day, people didn't. Everything was hush hush, and everything was be quiet. But I think because they made marriage legal, everybody is being who they are. It's hard when you live in a city or a state that's against it. But see, when you have everyone to join in, it opens up a lot of doors.
That's good. And not all drag queens or drag performers are gay or lesbian.
Right. You have a lot of them that are straight, have families, but it's just the art. And when I do drag, I put on a whole different persona. I'm not the everyday person that you see, cooking dinner or whatever. I become a whole different person. And and with a lot of problems, I can deal with it.
Sure.
Because I don't have to be myself. I can be somebody else.
Put on a mask like all the rest of us.
Yes.
And it brings you great joy, right?
Oh,
and you said you're a singer.
Yes.
Do you perform when you're not in drag?
Well, I sing in my local church on Sundays. I'm a firm believer in God. I believe that, He's my strength, my health. He's everything to me. And because He is, I feel that I can give the community what I have. The joy. Yes, we go through things, but there's a person that can make it a lot lighter than you going through it by yourself.
And what got you into drag performing?
That's a long story. Well,
we have a few minutes. Go ahead.
When I was younger, my mother had a videotape, and we wasn't allowed to go in our mother's room. But this one particular night, I decided to go in there, and I saw this videotape of these drag queens. And they had put on all this makeup, and I said, whoa. I said, I was seeing people give them money and everything. I said, oh, so this is what entertainment is. And so I told my mother one day, I said, I want to do that. Of course, she was upset, but
sure.
But she pretty soon she started supporting me.
That's good.
And because I had my mind made up. And so I just started doing drag, and I just started developing. Learning from different cultures and everything.
And it's a learning process.
Yes. Oh, it is.
And did you travel around when you were younger?
No, not as much as I do now. I'm from the small town in Illinois called Decatur.
Oh, yeah.
And so we went up to Springfield, Illinois. They used to have this club called New Dimensions. I'll never forget. It was across the street from the Sangamon County Campground, and that's where all of us met. And they used to have a talent night.
Okay.
And so we used to go, we used to compete. But they used to teach us. We'd go early, and they used to, have little workshops for us to teach us how to do our makeup, how to do our hair, how to do, how to dance and all this stuff. And so that's what really got me going, because somebody took time to teach me.
Well, and so many times performers, anyways, they go to schools like Juilliard or other, dancer, singer performers. So that was good for you to have that kind of education.
Well, my opinion, I think drag is self-learned. We can go to all these different schools and everything, but when you come to the community and stuff, they want to see who you are. And that's why I've always thought. So I created Tanaya Carrington. I created her look and, her soulfulness and everything. And, I couldn't give that to no dance studio or anything. I did that.
Right. And it's your personality.
Right.
In drag. And do you teach other students?
Yeah, I have a lot of drag children. I have 10 drag children, and I have four drag grandbabies, and then I have my nieces, and stuff. So, and they all have their own. I teach them to be themselves. I'm the Ozark Queen of Soul. I want them to be who they want to be.
And how do they pick their names or their personas?
Well, A lot of time people get their names through, you know, maybe a tragedy that they went through, maybe a good experience. My name I got from my little baby niece because she couldn't say Tina, and so she used to call me Tanaya.
Okay.
And so I just kept that name and just added Carrington. It's, you know, where I'm from, there's only two of us, two sisters, and so we don't have a drag mother and stuff. So we created the Carrington family in Illinois.
Oh, and when did you transplant to Springfield? You said about 20 years ago?
About 20 years ago, yeah.
And is there a community there?
Oh, yes. It's a wonderful community there. We have a lot of great role models like Devion Mornay. We have Catriona Dupree. We have Chris Cole. We have a lot of great people to guide us, and we're pretty much we're the older queens, and so we're the respectful ones, and so we guide them the right way.
In the profession.
In the profession, yeah. But I try to teach my children life, because drag ain't gonna never die. But you have to grow up. You have to get an education. You have to get a job, because drag is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's not cheap.
Yeah, I can't imagine your outfit alone.
And so but in order to do drag, you have to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah, self-care. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and telling people about the drag community.
And I thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And good job in the parade this year.
Oh, thank you very much.
I want to thank Tanaya Carrington and Ron Birch for joining us today. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Copeland Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.
Plan now to attend Lion Pride Visit Days at Missouri Southern State University. Take a campus tour, meet faculty, students, and submit a free application for enrollment, all in one day. Fall dates are available now. Visit mssu.edu/Lion Pride Visit Days to register today. Experience Missouri Southern, leave a lion. We can't wait to see you on campus for Lion Pride Visit Days.